podcast.
Oh god.
It was counting down as you started.
I heard
It
didn't
gives
know
you
that there'd
5
be a
seconds.
countdown.
2, and then
Yeah, I didn't know there would be a countdown, so I was like
Oh.
counting you down to when I clicked the button. Do we just
There's
stop
a
and start again?
5-second
Do we keep this
countdown
in
from
there?
when you hit the button.
Oh, okay. Well, do we?
Sorry.
We can
No,
stop. We can keep rolling. It can be.
editors
keep going.
cold open here. Alrighty. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Shared Screens Podcast, the podcast where we just sit around, talk, chill out. Who knows what might come up? Leon talked about Chris Evans looking like a pedophile last week. That shocked some people. Joining me
Just in that
today
moment.
is Brother Grim Bo. Bo, how you
Hi.
doing today?
Shocked by that news. I missed that episode, so now I feel like I need to go back for some
You
context.
gotta go listen for the full context.
Okay, I will do this.
Or go into our Discord and watch the social video that Alec posted, because that has the cut-ins, which I think it makes it even funnier.
Where would I be able to find that if I wasn't
General.
in our No, if I wasn't in our Discord and I was just a
Oh, that
general
one hasn't
person.
been posted yet. At time
I don't
of
think it's
recording.
on Twitter yet.
Well, in the
Yeah.
future, where would we be able to find it?
At
On
twitter.com/shared screens.
Wonderful.
And YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. Bo is like hand feeding us how to promote ourselves, and Jordan and I
I'm
just
trying.
aren't taking it.
Right there. And that, of course, is Leon Jazz. Leon, what's up?
Hi, I just realized I accidentally opened this browser in my work Chrome profile, so my boss
Nice.
can see I'm doing this now. So
I mean,
I
maybe
guess.
she thinks that you're just trying to get ahead of the game.
yeah.
Yeah, working on a
Good.
Sunday.
So what's up? What's up, friends and fam?
Yeah, what is up, everybody? Does anyone have any topic that we want to bring up or anything about their week they want to talk about?
I saw
have a
Megan,
topic.
and it was the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, don't say that. I want to see it so
it's
bad.
not the worst. It's just not
Will I
as good
laugh?
as I wanted it to be.
Well,
I
okay,
think
and there's a
there
question.
are
How
some
good?
things that will make you laugh.
Okay, and what were your expectations going in? Because I'm going in just for the meme of it all.
So I knew it was a meme, and I went in with my expectations lower than some of the people I went with, because it is by the woman who wrote Malignant, and I didn't
Mhm.
like Malignant, so I had a feeling I wasn't going to love Megan. I did not love Megan. This was a movie, though, where I feel like it's its marketing's fault, because a lot of the movie is in the trailer, and that just always pisses me off.
I've heard that criticism a lot. Like I'm not going to see it in theaters at this point. But like, if someone for a movie night was like, "Oh, let's watch Megan," I'd be like, "Yes, I'm gonna."
Yeah,
I'll
like
put Megan in that
I'm
context.
gonna check that
And
out
I
when
would
it comes
still
to
recommend
streaming.
it. Yeah, when it goes to streaming, I would still recommend, like, if you want to like have a couple drinks or like smoke a joint and like sit back and watch a movie, watch it. Don't spend money to go watch it. That's my official review. It's like, watch it if it's free.
I saw the trailer for it when I went to see Violent Night. That is a movie I do say worth the money.
Really.
Yeah,
That's what
I
I
really.
feel about Lost Faith.
It is well past Christmas now, so don't watch it now. But like next Christmas season, I legitimately liked that movie. I'm not saying it's fantastic. I'm saying I had genuine fun with it. And there's also like me and the friends I went with, we were like, there were moments that did not have to be that heartfelt.
That's how I felt watching Puss in Boots recently. Like I kept hearing that it was
I have to
like
watch
a perfect
it.
movie.
Okay,
It's kind of a perfect movie. Like I have no notes. Like it's pretty incredible.
I am so like confused about this whole Puss in Boots things because like, okay, we had the Shrek movies at this, Puss in Boots shows up in the second one. Fantastic. Then I know he got like a spin-off movie like years ago.
Mhm.
And I think there was a second one or he had some Netflix series.
This is the second one. He also had a Netflix series, but
There was a Netflix series in between. This is the second movie. And I was like, I'm surprised. Like, who the fuck is still checking this out? Unless Puss in Boots has become like his own character outside of Shrek now, thanks to Netflix or whatever. And I was like, okay, it's for kids. I'm not going to shit on it. And then adults are like, no, this movie's really fucking good.
Like the opening is just Attack on Titan, but for children. It's insanely good. It's really good. The pacing of the movie. Like I can't say like that I have a favorite part of the movie because all of it was fantastic beginning to end. Like every component, like if you worked on this movie, you deserve an Oscar in your own category because everything was going off.
Now, here is a question I don't like that I have to ask, but how much of the lore do I need to know if I wanted to watch Puss in Boots 2?
None.
I don't even have to watch the first spin-off.
No, you don't need to watch Shrek. Like it is its own.
Okay.
Like it's two, and to my like they introduce characters I have no idea if they've been previously introduced, but like when they come on screen, they're either so immediately like charismatic, or you can tell what their deal is pretty immediately. That like I
I know
didn't care if
Selma
I was missing
Hayek's.
backstory.
Yeah, and I know Selma Hayek's character is new to this movie because I
Salma
listened to an
Hayek
interview
is
where
in
she
it.
talked about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, she plays his like girlfriend.
yeah, Kitty Softpaws.
Yeah,
Kitty soft
and she
paws.
took the
They're
role
good.
very seriously because her and Antonio Banderas are very good friends. But whenever she does interviews, she was like, "Yeah, no, I just went into it like super sincerely and like had a great time with it." And
A
like
lot of
that's been
people
the big
start.
thing I've heard is a lot of the cast was like, "No, we just went into it super sincerely and like didn't look
Yeah,
at it as a paycheck, and it came out really, really good."
like this is
Yeah,
not like a kids movie that turned out like, oh, it's pretty good. Like this is a good movie that just so happens to be
it's still
catered for
an
children.
objectively good movie. Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
like I
the
think so.
more I hear about like people putting big names in like really dumb movies or very childish movies, it does seem that like the actor still has to like take it somewhat seriously for
Mhm.
it to be good.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
like me, like I know when a lot of people talk about and I've never seen this, but I know when a lot of
Oh, I
people
got
talk
you.
about Muppet Christmas Carol, they just are like, Michael Caine took it so seriously, and that's what made the movie good. And it's like, I do think that's something that like they need to do.
I mean,
Well,
that's
yeah,
why Ian McKellen was like allegedly crying on, or not allegedly. I think he's pretty open about it, but like crying on set of The Hobbit that one time because he had to act against a tennis ball, and he was. It, I don't think it was like the interview. I think he said like it's not that he had to act against the tennis ball. He was crying because he was heartbroken that he just didn't want to do the movie anymore.
Yeah.
Like you, as an actor, I feel like you should put your entire passion into whatever you're doing. Like even if it's not good, like even if the movie that you're doing is not good, like I
it's
think
one of
back
those
to
things where sometimes producers put actors in movies that they shouldn't necessarily be in, but the actor can't say no because this is their career and they need money.
yeah.
And that's where you get actors who are really phoning it in just because like they're not. Oh, what movie is it? Oh, it's not a movie, it's a show. The short-lived Netflix show Friends from College was
Oh yeah.
really well written. None of the actors wanted to be there, and like they weren't roles that were right for those people except for Keegan Michael Key.
Mhm.
His character
I
was
heard,
well written for him, but everybody else was playing characters they shouldn't have been playing, and like it's just uncomfortable to watch because nobody. Fred
Yeah.
Savage trying to play like a very flamboyant gay man, you can tell he's very uncomfortable and doesn't know what to do, and it doesn't come off well. Like it
I
comes
saw
off like somebody making fun of someone rather than a like sincere approach.
Yeah.
like speaking of that, like that style of acting, I saw someone basically call out Michael B. Jordan for like not being a good actor in the Black Panther movies, and I'm like, so
That's a take.
it's a
Okay.
take, and then I heard it, and I'm like, I get like I don't think I would have ever come to that idea organically, but like now that it's been pointed out to me, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Like he's playing to the meme of it all.
If
Like
you
when
watch
you
him
go
in
back and
anything
watch those
else,
movies. No, and I know that he's a good actor. I'm not saying that he is a bad actor. I'm saying in Black Panther he wasn't that good, and
yeah,
I feel like it's because he kind of knew like if I play this with actual nuance, then the message is kind of it's going to fall flat. Like a real character wouldn't say like, "Oh, I'm going to let my ancestor or what throw me in the ocean
bury
so that
me
I
into the
can."
sea like my ancestors who knew
Yeah,
it was better to die than live in captivity, which is a statistically not like not statistically, a logically not possible sentence for somebody to say because somebody cannot they can't be your ancestors if they jumped off the boat because that means they die. Your grandfather did not jump off the boat and live unless he's related to
not just that, but it's a
those
lot of
in
words for a
cartoon.
man that's bleeding out, and like
Yeah.
it just didn't feel like he would say things in the movie where like the whole "Hey Auntie," it's like that's just for the gif, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
like
I kind
that's
of
I
get what
guess
you
more
mean.
to the dialogue, but it's also like if you're given memes to deliver, how do you do that without coming off as a meme of a character? And that's something
And
that
this
I
is
would not
where
have thought of until recently.
there is very little that I will speak with authority on because I'm aware that I'm a dumb bitch. But acting, I will speak with authority on because I suffered through 4 years of college for it. And like, it's sometimes actors take a lot of flack for things that are not necessarily their fault. And Michael, and then sometimes when you're an actor, like what people I think forget is actors are also humans. So like if you're hearing a line in theater and you're like, this is cheesy as fuck, when the actor was saying it, they probably thought it was cheesy as fuck, but they can't like fight.
Like it's their
Like Michael
job.
B.
Yeah.
Jordan is not one of those actors that could go up to the writer and be like, fuck you, I'm not saying this. Like,
Yeah, he's not like gonna say to Ryan Coogler, "I'm not saying hi, hey auntie." That doesn't make any fucking sense to
yeah,
me. He's like, just say.
like it's just that's not something that's gonna happen, and so you just end up with these like kind of lackluster performances where in context it's fine, but then you watch him in anything else, like you watch
Yeah.
Fahrenheit 451 and you're like, oh, or you watch, I don't like the Creed movies because I don't, for some reason boxing in movies does nothing for me. Even
I was
though I
gonna,
like the
boxing in
actual
movies.
sport.
I'm the opposite, where boxing in movies gets me so engaged, but like to actually or even like MMA. Like I love the movie Warrior with Joel Edgerton and Tom Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could sit through like an actual MMA fight,
Yeah.
but like, you know, two actors choreographed to like, okay, now you duck here and then you pretend to
And
take this.
they're cutting and stuff, and so like it just looks like the coolest boxing fight
Exactly.
in the world.
Like make it like if they had the same cinematography in an actual like boxing ring or something, like if they had music playing in the arena while all this shit's going down, like I'd be there every night. But like,
Listen,
that's not
honest?
the case.
That's why I feel
UFC,
about
if you're
soccer
listening,
with Ted Lasso. It's
Yeah.
like I had never liked soccer before, and then I watched Ted Lasso, and there are all these amazing shots of them following Danny Rojas's feet or like Jamie's feet, and I was like, this is so cool. I know this isn't what real soccer games look at, but like this is exciting.
and then you turn on the World Cup, and it's just one camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On a giant fucking field.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I could never play soccer.
But I do like when like there is just a role that is inherently very dumb, and an actor's like, I'm going to give this my all. Because like the one that stands out to me is Patrick Stewart for two specific roles. One, the director of the CIA in American Dad. He
Is
shows
that actually
up.
him or is that Seth MacFarlane?
No, that is actually him. Like,
Really?
Patrick Stewart has voiced that character on American Dad for years and loves it the way that Carrie Fisher voiced the boss in Family Guy, and what's his name? Adam West actually voiced the mayor. Like those weren't parodies.
No,
Those were
okay.
those actual actors.
I knew Adam West was the mayor. I did not know that Carrie Fisher was what's Angela. I had no idea. And as soon as you
That's why
said that, I was
after
like,
Carrie
that makes
Fisher
so much
died,
sense.
that's why after Carrie Fisher died, they like did an episode that's like, oh, the brewery is now managed by someone else.
Oh, I stopped watching Family Guy a while ago. And it's funny,
Yeah.
this Family Guy came up recently because like a TikTok, there's some sound on TikTok that's from Family Guy, so it's been fresh on the brain. Tried to rewatch some episodes in like the golden era recently, and I'm like, this really just, and I don't know if I think it's just like season 7 and 8 where this goes down. This just feels like Seth MacFarlane giving like baby's first liberal ideology to like, and it's not even good or like thorough. It's just like, it's like, hey, trans people exist. Not going to comment on the rights of it all, but like they exist. Like,
Yeah, there's definitely some episodes that have that when I look back, but I'm also like thinking that like those were the episodes that were like in 2008.
yeah, like it's
at the time people were like, this is big.
I'm saying, like, I remember watching A Bag of Weed, like that whole musical number.
Oh, that came out in 7th grade and I loved it.
Like, I was not even, like, I was still at the point where I'm like, drugs are scary. I'm never going to do a drug ever. And then that song came out and I'm like, well, it's got some points. It's catchy.
Here's the thing. I'm not even going to lie about this. That episode where they talk about weed legalization and the Brian just explains how weed isn't bad. And I go, is this just a thing on the internet? But they're stating it as just such a, like, I feel like most of the time I can kind of tell what's real and what's not. But like, I was like, if this was all fake science, I feel like they wouldn't be so
blunt
about it. So like, I Googled it and I was like, wow, weed really isn't bad. At like 13, I saw all the like articles and stuff. And I'm not gonna lie, Family Guy really got me on board for weed legalization.
I'm saying, and that's why I feel like it's Seth MacFarlane just giving baby's first liberal, because like the voice of Brian, it's just Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
So it's just him talking into a microphone in some studio, probably like got into an argument with someone at a grocery store, and then was like, you know what, no, new episode topic, and then just goes in, and they animate around. Like, I don't know. I know that that's not actually the process, but that's how it feels in those seasons, like the seasons 6 through 8, I would say.
Yeah.
I will bring a new topic to the table, jumping off of this, that I've been thinking about a lot, which is like, I did Dare. Did you guys do Dare in like 5th or 6th grade?
Yes.
No.
Yes, 5th grade.
Bosif.
Oh, I know what Dare is. My parents did Dare, but we were not like, I don't know.
We all let that fucking lion down.
No. This was the thing on why Dare is such a fever dream to look back on. Because my parents didn't have to do Dare because my mom grew up in a town with like 200 people in it. There were maybe like 5 children in class with her. They weren't paying for Dare. My dad went to school just outside New York City in the 70s. Nobody was worried about Dare there because they didn't want the kids going home and going, Daddy, today a cop told me cocaine is bad. Well, the dad was just doing lines with his buddies on Wall Street. Like, they just like weren't looking to open that conversation.
Only crack was allowed to be bad.
Again, never forget, in the immortal words of Whitney Houston, crack is cheap. I don't do crack. I'm rich. I do cocaine. Never forget. The best interview that has ever been given by anyone.
Yeah.
She said that to Diane Sawyer in 2002, and I remember watching it and being like, "Yep, good for you. You know your worth." I think that was like the first example I ever had of somebody being like, "No, this is my worth."
I remember seeing Snoop Dogg say that he smoked weed on an interview, like in Jimmy Fallon, when I was very, very young. I mean, just knowing
not Snoop.
So, but I'm like, but it's illegal. Like, you're obviously joking, and that, like, to me, discredited Snoop Dogg for
That's where
so
I'm going
long.
with this. It's like,
go ahead, sorry.
For the longest time, I know that, like, I know it is a thing in. So, okay, look at me. I am the color of milk. I don't know a lot about. I don't know a lot about rap culture or like hip hop because look at me.
Oh no.
I have
the fact that you're calling it rap culture is very funny to me.
Yeah, like I don't like, and I will fully admit I don't know anything about it. I don't have any problems with it, but like I remember being like 14 when people were like, well, a lot of rappers like embellish in their lyrics. Like they're not actually going out and murdering people.
Except Bobby Shmurda. That whole song was a confession.
It's one of those things where, what's his name? FD Signifier has an incredible video about the concept of kayfabe within rap. So, like, for those that don't know, kayfabe is, like, think of wrestling. It's the idea that if you are, like, I don't know, John Cena. I don't know wrestlers other than John Cena.
Like the persona you put on, like where that line begins and ends.
Yeah, so like if you're at the grocery store, like, no, go ahead.
That was how my dad explained it to me too. He was like, these men are not, because I was young and I didn't understand how the conversation started. I didn't understand how people made music about that and didn't get arrested because I was a child, and that's how I saw things. Like, you see things very black and white, where like in my brain, if you made an album saying you were smoking weed and weed is illegal, like you would get arrested. And he was like, well, no, it's art. Like, it's a lot like wrestling. Like, it's not real. Like, they're playing characters, and it has to do with, like, he didn't go into the whole thing, but he gave me like what a 6-year-old can understand of, there's an area in LA where a lot of these guys are from, that life is very different than how it is here. And like, that's part of, and that's where like this music was born and all that stuff, was like, he used the wrestling thing. And then my mom made me watch that interview with Will Smith where he was like, no, rappers lie. Like, I was like, okay. Thanks, Will Smith.
I mean, there are so many, like, I feel like the problem then becomes, and I guess this is a whole other podcast discussion, I guess, but like, I feel like people, like, we understand that, but then like fans, like young fans, might not understand that, and then they pull a take A. Like, there, for every like song that's like, yeah, I'm out here killing whatever, it's like 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, you were most likely just playing Xbox at home after you are finished recording. And there's that one kid that's just like, well, he's saying he's murdering people, he's saying he's doing drugs, so I got to do both, and I'm 13. Like, it's like, I don't know.
I know California recently had like a law that they were trying to pass that said like you can't use people's rap lyrics like in court against them.
Mm-hmm. I saw that.
Yeah, that's a big thing here because there are just so many rappers, and yeah, there were people here that would be like, well, you said you did this in your song, and it's like, yeah, I say I do a lot of shit in my songs that I don't actually do.
I also said I went Super Saiyan and punched a hole in the moon. Like, calm down.
Exactly, yeah. Like,
my name isn't actually Young Schmurdy Murdy. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
I don't remember who it wasn't a big rapper, but they were using his record and he was like, "Yeah, I also said that one night in a club I had sex with 50 women. That didn't actually happen. Like people say a lot of shit in music. Like what do you mean?"
Yeah, and especially when you have to add the whole rhyme scheme of it all, like how many incriminating lyrics could just be explained with like, I don't know, it rhymed, it fit with the flow.
Yeah,
I don't even know
like
what that street that I'm referring to is. Like I don't know what's going on.
I talked about my friend named Bob and I needed a rhyme, so I decided
Yeah.
to use the word rob because, robbery's fun sometimes.
And it's a pun
like
because Rob goes by Bob in real life, or Bob goes by Rob, whatever. I don't know.
but Dare really villainizes, sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Villainizes like rap music and hip hop music because it's like built on that whole idea of like you can't tell teenagers listening to this think that it means marijuana is fine and then they're going to be killing you for your monies to get their next score was like really what Dare like pushed it as. And I remember us having to watch a video where it's the Looney Tunes convincing a child not to do heroin. I am not lying, this is real, Google it. And in it, it's because his friends are all into rap music. And yes,
Which Looney
true.
Tunes?
Bugs Bunny, Tweety, all of them.
Oh wow.
I just thought it'd be really funny if they were the ones who like they don't speak very clearly, like if it was Tweety and the Tasmanian Devil only.
Oh, they're all there, and so are the Teenage
All
Mutant
of them.
Ninja Turtles.
What made this kid? How did we know that this kid is not already on heroin if he's seeing
That's why
cartoon
he's seeing the
characters?
Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Well, because this is the whole thing is that like so he listens to that kind of music and he like hangs out with skateboarders and they offer him weed and he smokes weed and then at a party somebody offers him something that they never say it's heroin but he's using a needle so like it's heavily implied.
Needle
And
weed.
the Looney Tunes and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that are like on his posters and in his comics come to life and like show him the future of like what him actively ODing looks like.
Jesus.
And I just remember watching this and being like, that was the day I learned Dare was lying to me because I was like, no, no, like this is not no.
Okay, one. Who has posters of the Looney Tunes on their wall? TMNT, valid. The Looney Tunes, though, as like a poster?
That sounds like a gift from a grandparent.
Yeah.
It's like, I know that you're into Pokemon, but I don't agree with Pokemon, so here's some good old-fashioned Bugs Bunny.
Here's the Americamon that you need to be watching instead.
Bugs Bunny, the original Pokemon.
Yeah. Dare... Okay, the thing I remember most about Dare, which is really fucking funny to me, is that, like, I've talked about like my dad owning a liquor store before. Is my dad started purchasing or like going to purchase one like around the time that I was doing Dare, and like the day after my Dare graduation, and like I had to write like my little school report on what I learned. I like finished writing it, and my dad comes home really happy, being like, "I got accepted for the liquor license," and I was like, "All right, everything I learned is fucking throw that shit out."
The writing contest that was part of Dare graduation?
Yes, that everybody had to like write a speech about what they learned, and like no, I feel like I wrote one, but nobody liked me, so everybody voted for someone else.
So yeah, you could either write about what you learned, or there were two other options that are what stick in my brain more. You could write a fake, like a creative story about the bad effects of a drug. You had to pick one, do a bunch of research on it, and write a fake story about it, which is what I did. Looking back on that is wild that is an actual school project I had to do. The other option was you could talk about how drug or alcohol addiction had affected you personally. And somebody in my class did it and started talking about their alcoholic mother. And that's how all of us learned that. And all the teachers were like, what do we do?
Yeah, see, I feel like that one's really, really
a slippery slope. Why would you give that as an option?
Because like, okay, people who have went through that at like the age of 5th grade or younger, it is unfortunately not denying it. But like, if nobody knew, and now this kid's reading a report, at like what point in the report do you as the teacher go, I gotta call CPS?
Well,
I don't like. Okay, have you seen the episode of Atlanta where like it's called The Slap? It was in one of the. I think it was season 3.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
Basically, grandfather shows up to pick up his grandkid, and the grandkid did something, acted up, and the granddad like slaps him in the face. And like, I'm not saying like slapping a child in the face is not a big deal, but like in the context of like a very, very, very old black man talking to his, like, it could have been a lot worse is what I'm trying to say. Teacher sees that, calls CPS, kid goes on a horrible, 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 horrible adventure. I'm not going to spoil the episode. It's based on real life stuff, so like, it's not a fun time. It's a good episode, but it's not a fun time. I feel like because of that consequence, I feel like teachers really don't get involved because they don't. They don't
but
know
they're
how
mandated
much worse it can get.
reporters.
There's also a lot where it gets into from state to state, because my mom works with kids. In New York is one of the states where you have to report anything suspicious. It doesn't necessarily mean anything's going to happen, because like if a kid comes in, like a boy comes in, and like there was a kid I went to school with that he came in, he had broken his wrist. He fell out of a tree and broke his wrist. His wrist healed. He fell out of a tree and broke something else like 2 weeks later, and they had to call CPS because it lines up with like the suspicious breakage. No, it's just he's an idiot. Like it was literally and somebody went in and the parent was like, "This is the tree. The fence is there to try to keep him from climbing the tree. I don't know what else to do to keep him out of the tree."
See, if this was a sitcom, I feel like while the CPS agent is having like a very serious talk with the mom, that the kid sneaks off and goes
like
back
it's
up
going
the
to
tree.
climb the tree. And like it was a big joke because like a year later he would get hurt all the time, and he just like didn't know where his body was in space and was constantly moving. And like a year later he got diagnosed with ADHD, and then he stopped breaking so many bones.
Oh, there you are.
Oh, sorry. What happened?
No, you cut off for a second there.
But then when you came back, I heard you say, and then the kid was in space and something about broken bones. So please provide context.
Like 2 years later, he got diagnosed with ADHD and was put on medication for it, and then he stopped breaking bones. He knew where his body, he stopped falling so much and like shattering every bone in his body because like he had like, and he would talk about it where he was like, "No, like I have impulse control now instead of my brain just going, hey, climb the tree," and I do it. Like I have critical thinking skills.
See, my question is, did he stop breaking bones with the ADHD medicine because the medicine stopped him from getting the urge to climb the tree? Or was it that when he climbed the tree, he was just a lot more focused?
He was a lot safer.
I thought you were going to go... I thought you were about to go a third route, that they weren't actually giving him ADHD medication. They were just giving him something to make his bones stronger. Yeah, so he would still climb the tree and fall, but he would just have the the durability.
Yeah, but see, that's like a slippery slope, and that's how you end up with like a high schooler that like can't feel pain and is like, "Hit me with your car." Like that's how you make a superhero by accident.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was I hope he's doing well in life, because I've just like lost touch with him, but he was always one of those people where he's like, no, because when it got big when we were in high school, where people would be like, I think ADHD is overdiagnosed in your generation, he was like, no, I am a different human being. When I forget to take my ADHD medication, I become a gremlin that I have no control over. And I was like, fair, okay, good that you know yourself. But yeah, and I will say about the kid who wrote an essay about his mother being an alcoholic, why it was not a big deal was the mom was not in the picture anymore. It was just we did not all know why. And that was how we learned why the divorce had happened, even though we knew like, so like our teachers were just kind of like, hey, maybe this isn't something you share. Like it's like that boundaries thing.
Basically what you got is a room of 11-year-olds hearing this and all going, oh, like that's what you had.
Yeah. Is we were like, oh, it was a bad time.
What is elementary school if not just trauma dumping in front of a bunch of kids your age?
Well, because you don't know any better. You don't know. Like, I feel like there are things that kids, they just think are like, so I went to Catholic school, and my parents are not alcoholics, but my parents used to consistently, they would have one drink with dinner. I thought that was very normal. Going to Catholic school, I learned that was not very normal when I brought it up to somebody.
Okay, but here's the thing. That's also one of those things where, like, I could see that being a very 50-50 split amongst households, where there are some people that are like, my parents have a drink with dinner every night. And there's some that are like, my parents only have it socially. And I feel like neither of those are necessarily wrong.
Neither of them are wrong.
Preference.
Like, you should have increased the sample size in your elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's literally just that I went to Catholic school, so a lot of those parents, like, didn't really drink, or they didn't drink in front of their kids. And my mom was like, okay, nobody's doing anything wrong. No one is wrong, but you have to present it with all of the context. You can't
Yeah,
just be like, my parents drink every day. You have to present it with every piece of context.
that's the thing with kids a lot, is you have to like you have to sometimes be careful about the way they word stuff, because like somebody that my family like just knows in like our Arab community where we live, like they had like a half second of hot water because like the kid took that class where like they taught kids about like, hey, if anybody's touching you in places they shouldn't, please tell us. And some kid said something about like, oh, my dad touches my butt or something like that. And what it was is that like his dad gave him like a slap on the ass out of the bath one night or something like that. Like he was just like, get out of here type of thing. like a little football tap. And suddenly this kid is making it sound like the worst things are happening to him.
Oh, it's like that John Mulaney thing about like the kid coming in and just going like, he has a penis. Like, yes, he does, but like you saying it like that makes it seem like you've seen it. Don't do that.
Or like he taught you, like he introduced himself by going, hi, I'm John.
Hi, I have a penis. Like, my niece has done stuff like that where she'll just like,
oh God,
there are words she doesn't pronounce correctly, that come out sounding
horrible,
just wrong. Because like for a while we don't know why she did this, but she called her stomach her kuka, which there is nothing about kuka that refers to stomach. We don't know where she got, like, we don't know what that is, but she meant her stomach because she wanted like a snack, and like my brother-in-law had been like, no, like you've had enough to eat, there's like food in your belly. And somewhere she got kuka and came running out to my father and was like, I have food in my kuka. And he was like, I don't know what that means.
I have so many questions.
Yeah, kids are crazy, dude.
I would have thought that meant poop, I'm gonna be honest.
Because of caca.
Yeah.
The kuka makes the caca. The kuka to caca pipeline.
Yeah. The fact that Lake Titicaca is not a joke and is an actual lake, always going to be funny to me.
Yeah.
You're a child.
It's called Lake Titicaca. Come on.
No, that's the thing. It's like whenever there's something that is inherently like a silly word, like Uranus. Like, and I know it's pronounced Uranus, but anytime someone's like, "Oh, grow up," it's like, I'm
supposed
pretty
to
sure it's pronounced Uranus, whatever.
Oh.
But like, someone says Uranus, and then someone either genuinely or ironically does a little snicker, and then if anyone gets legitimately mad at that person, I don't think they should be, because it's like the word has anus in it, and you're not going to say like, I don't know, like
one of my favorite Futurama jokes is when the professor breaks out, like instead of a telescope, he has a smelloscope, which is exactly what you think it is. He can smell stuff from far away. And Fry, as a joke, goes, what if we smell Uranus? Ha ha ha. And the professor, like, nobody laughs. And he goes, what? And the professor goes, oh, you're using the old word. We changed the name to that planet because people kept making those immature jokes. He goes, what's it called now? And the professor goes, your rectum.
I don't know. Silly jokes can
wild.
It is, and I don't know how. Like, I don't know what the line for good and bad adult animation is right now, because like Velma seems like it's the new low, but I also feel like I have seen worse live action content, and I feel like it wouldn't get as much hate if it wasn't animated. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. In terms of the quality, like it's not offensively bad. It is aggressively mid, but other aggressively mid live action shows go on to, be like How I Met Your Mother or whatever.
I feel like what happens is that adult animation has so much of just like the lowest common denominator humor that all of it gets a bad rap. And like going back to before, like Family Guy, I'll be honest, still has the occasional moment where that'll make me burst out laughing. If I turn on a newer episode, which I haven't really watched in years, but occasionally I'll see stuff on YouTube and I'll have to be like, this part's objectively funny, not gonna lie.
Yeah. I also like, Bo and I have talked about this before, where like I have very complex feelings about child actors. I don't like, even though it's animated, I really don't like that Daphne's introduction in Velma is she's naked, because she's supposed fully with just soap covering her.
Now, they call it out in the show So is it that bad? Is it really,
Like, is the show trying to make a statement on how Daphne's been sexualized throughout the years? Like, is
I don't
that
think the show has. I feel like the show has been on Twitter before. They understand what discourse is, but they have no idea what is being said, what has been said in the past, and what they want to say.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, we're just going to bring up random topics because we know that that's edgy and we know that that's going to get like a draw. We don't have an
no press
opinion
is
on the
bad
matter.
press?
Like literally, the first few lines of the episode are like, "Hey, it's messed up that like pilot episodes over sexualize stuff," and then everyone take the towel off, and but in
And
the
that's what
episode someone says, "Hey,
confuses
that's
me.
really tired and annoying," and it's like, well, people still watch it.
That
So,
just
like,
seems
well, what
like
do you
bad.
have to say about it? Like, what do you
That
have to
seems
say
like it's
about it?
really bad satire, though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call it satire. Like it feels like someone says, "Hey, have you ever noticed this?" And someone else is like, "Yeah," and then they both just look at the screen and go, "Well, what do you think?" And it's like,
Just the adult version of Dora, where it's like, "What do you think about this topic?"
kind of,
And it
kind of,
really,
yeah.
I don't know if the rumor that it was something completely different that had nothing to do with Scooby-Doo and then she was just told by Warner Brothers to make it a Scooby-Doo property is true, but that is what it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it was supposed to be a show making fun of like a Riverdale or the
Yep.
original Pretty Little Liars, like those hot teen mystery dramas. And then they threw on this paint of the Scooby-Doo characters, but had to take out one of the characters and then drastically change all the ones left over
To take out the
to
character that it's named after.
Mm-hmm.
and then they make commentaries about the character that like aren't, because like I'm not saying that Daphne isn't sexualized, but she's not like sexualized to a level different than many other.
I was gonna say, if someone used Daphne as the like example of sexualization in cartoons, I would look at that person and be like, I I feel like you need to watch more stuff.
Her
Yeah,
dress
like
comes up to here and it's not like they draw her with like massive.
she's been sexualized by the audience in terms of like people want people to dress up as like a sexy Daphne for Halloween or in the bedroom, whatever. Or like I joke all the time that like my first crush was Misty, so like if I ever see a hot Misty cosplay, like oh like, and like that's all in jest. But like I don't think those characters are inherently sexual. If you look at the original cartoons, which again we're talking about a cartoon from the '60s, yeah, Daphne's the damsel in distress every fucking episode. But that's not sexualized.
And then everything else since the 60s has made her have a certain level of her own autonomy, especially like I don't love the James Gunn movies, but she's like their
She's
main
the badass.
fighter. Like
She's the muscle, yeah.
kicks ass. Like, and Mystery Incorporated, she's not a damsel. She's just like the only part that I could see people calling like she's a damsel in distress is like Fred is dumb as shit. And so sometimes she has to spoon feed him pieces of their relationship because he's just an idiot. And like with Fred is never painted in anything Scooby Doo as like a mean jock. He's just a pretty moron.
I do like Glenn Howerton as Fred. Like
That's who's voicing Fred.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like
I don't hate that.
As soon as I saw that, I was like, okay. Like I'll like that when I saw that casting, I was like, I will give this show a shot. Even after I saw all the negative reviews for it, I was like, I like Dennis Reynolds. Like I like it. So
I just didn't like the I have a disease that makes it that I can't talk to attractive people, because it feels like you're trying to, like, it's the same thing. It feels like they're trying to make a statement, but you're putting it on a character that has never represented that statement, so it doesn't make, like, if somebody, like, if in the Barbie movie that's coming out, Ryan Gosling said that line, Ken has been portrayed as an asshole so many, like, I remember when I was like 10 and Barbie and Ken broke up and it was the whole big thing. And then
I've seen
Ken
Toy
wanted
Story
to
3.
what?
I've seen Toy Story 3. Ken
Yeah.
sucks.
And that was like a real thing where they like had Barbie go through, like she broke up with Ken and they released all these other male doll toys that were like now her suitors. And there was a game on Barbie.com that like one of the lines in the game was about how Ken realized how much he like basically fucked up and now was trying to win Barbie back. Like if they did it with that character has represented those things before. Or if they like did what they're doing with Daphne with Barbie, who is an incredibly sexualized character throughout everything, like there's an argument to be made there, but the Scooby-Doo gang is not the argument to make with it. Because also then all the jokes about Shaggy smoking weed fall flat because like that's not new. That's pretty much like accepted by everybody that like yeah, Shaggy is a stoner.
In a post Euphoria world, if I'm watching an HBO show set in high school and they're not smoking weed, then I have more questions than not.
Like, honestly, if I'm watching anything with teenagers nowadays and they're not smoking weed, I have more questions than not. Like, weed has changed so much in our, like, what we were talking about there. It's so much in our lifetime that, like, yeah, like, I kind of learned most teenagers, like, in high school are smoking weed. And it's like,
I also think that being adults watching content about teenagers, it's inherently going to be edgier, so they're probably smoking weed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if that makes sense. But, like, going back to like the James Gunn movies that you brought up later, like in those ones, the jokes about Shaggy being a stoner are very much there for the parents that whose kids drag them to the movie. Where like the girl introduces herself as Mary Jane, and he goes, "That's my favorite name." No kid understood that.
Yeah,
but it's like what I was saying to you about the Bones episode that they mention pony play, and I didn't know what it was for years. I did not understand it. My parents understood it. I didn't.
I don't understand it, and I don't want to.
Google it, buddy.
No, it's that kind of thing. Like I feel like I've become like internet literate enough to know like if I see a term that I don't know, just based off of like the context surrounding that one term or like whoever's posting it or the interactions that the post is getting, like I know maybe that's not something I should Google. Maybe I should
Blue Waffle.
Mm-hmm.
That was like baseline, like elementary school. Like Blue Waffle is why I don't look shit up anymore. Like if I don't know this term, I'm like, if it's important, it'll come up again with someone that I trust and respect. If not, then
for me, and editors feel free to bleep this out if this is too dirty of a word, but for me, the thing that taught me to never Google things is bukkake.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was what taught me to not Google things. And when I see things online that I don't get, I don't ask.
I mean,
she usually asks me.
I ask in our shared screens meetings because I feel like that's a safe space where I won't get made fun of for not understanding things.
I mean, the first time I like heard the term porn was in like 3rd grade, and one of my friends was like, "Yo, like when your parents aren't home, Google the word porn, and then come back to me tomorrow." And I was like, "Okay." And I like did it,
and
I
your life changed.
No, I was like still very much a Christian kid at that time, so I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, I'm going to hell now, like, dude, like, what did you do to me?" I didn't know.
Damned me.
This is the apple. I bit the apple.
I like the idea that just you stumbling upon a porn page, like you don't watch a video, you don't jerk off to it, like just looking at it, you went, "What the hell?"
No, I'm saying it was my clutching my 3rd grade pearls, just going, "Oh heavens," and then closing out of it quickly.
I accidentally found porn when the Spider-Man DVD, I don't know if it was 1 or 2, had a trailer for the Vin Diesel movie Triple X, and I thought the movie was just called XXX, and I...
Oh, yeah.
Yikes. See, that's an honest mistake. I was in high school.
Oh.
It was just like, I'm not a boy. I don't have any brothers. I just, like...
What the fuck is that supposed to mean? I've never shown my sister's porn.
No, but like, there is... I am sure, even if you don't know it, that your mother had a conversation with your sisters being like, "Hey, if Jordan's taking a really long time in the bathroom and the door's locked, leave him alone." Like, I had friends who had brothers and their moms had to be like, "Hey." And had to have those conversations with their sons, too, of being like, "Hey, I know you live downstairs, don't even."
No, not that. We share... my family shares a bathroom. I'm doing it in my room. Like, what happens in my room stays in my room.
But still, it's like that idea of, like, whatever. Like, all my friends who had older brothers knew what that stuff was before me because of their older brothers. I did not.
Interesting.
And then I also went to Catholic school, so it's not like that was not conversation that we were having. We were all pretty stunted. High school, so most of my 8th grade class ended up going to public high school, and let me tell you, that was a rude awakening for us. It was a pretty... I was okay, but like the kids who went to like John Jay or Beacon were like, "Good morning." This is all new. Because like freshman year, like the idea that people were dating freshman year of high school was like mind-boggling to us.
Yeah, see, by freshman year of high school, I had like an iPod Touch, and like the world of porn was at my fingertips.
Literally.
Yeah.
Before that, it was a PSP. And let me okay, listen, I know our dads had it tough with like Playboys, and our older cousins had it tough with dial-up. The PSP, though, that was my struggle. Do you know anything about this, Bo?
I can infer.
Okay.
I mean, please explain.
I don't know if I've talked about it on content before, but I'll explain to you why PSP porn was like the last struggle of porn.
Oh my. Okay.
Because we can all tell why now there is no struggle. A 5-year-old can Google the word boobies and get.
They shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be. I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying they should be. I'm just saying if a 5-year-old did it, it would happen.
I just want to say some of my favorite pictures on the internet are the parents that go to their YouTube account after their kid had just tried, and it's just like boobies, naked women,
naked boobies, naked girls. Yeah.
Like, just the most baseline. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to do when I get there. I just need to. I need to see it.
It's that age that like and. Everybody probably goes through it different, but like I know with me personally, I would say it was like between like 9 and 11. Those aren't two good numbers to use together. Anyway, it was like between those ages where I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking for, but I know,
I know
what I want. Like it's very much I'll know it when I see it. Like I don't know why I want to see people naked, but I know I'm not supposed to, so I want to. Like, but anyway, the PSP. For those who don't know, for the youngsters listening to this. PSP, PlayStation Portable, it was like a little cool device that you played video games on, but it had multimedia apps, including internet browsers and the ability to watch videos, whether you downloaded them onto the memory card or had the little discs. Problem is, you couldn't watch videos in browser. Like now, not even using porn as an example, you go to the Safari browser on an iPhone, you go to YouTube, you go to Pornhub, you go to Vimeo, you can watch an embedded video in browser. The PSP needed it to download onto the fucking memory card. So not only did that take a while, you're waiting there and finally it comes up and you're like, I don't even like this video. And so it was such a hassle. And so middle school me had two systems. One, I had my go-to videos. I was like, I have 2 or 3 that I know. Other part of me was like, pictures will suffice. You go on a website, you find pictures or thumbnails, whatever, and you're just browsing through those and you're like, these are suffice because it's faster.
I have a question that you both can tell me you don't want to answer, and I won't ask again, and that will be the end of the conversation. Mm-hmm. However, and this is not a one-to-one, because I know ASMR is not inherently sexual, but I don't watch porn, so it's the only equivalent I have. Where like I'll have like a couple of weeks where there's an ASMR video that really helps me fall asleep, but then after a couple of weeks of using it, or even like my Calm app, like sleep stories after a certain point stop working for me. Is porn similar where like if you watch a video too many times, like eventually you're just like, like this doesn't do it for me?
Yes, you do have ones that like maybe you're going back to during the week, or like, and then sometimes you're like, I already seen it. Then there's also, and every man I've met has been able to relate to this issue where you're like, what's that one video I watched like 3 years ago? And you can't fucking find it. Like
there's all of the keywords that could possibly be relevant. And by
the problem is there's just so much porn that any phrase you type in, you're still getting like 1,000.
Thousands.
Okay. This Reddit has a subreddit called TOMT, Tip of My Tongue, where if I was to describe a movie I remember watching as a kid but couldn't remember the name of, listed everything I found, people be like, I think you're talking about this. And it's true. It's how I found this is going to switch to wholesome for a second. I found a very wholesome Christmas Disney movie I used to watch as a kid. Finally found it after years of me and my mom just referencing it and showed it to her. There's also a pornographic version of that subreddit called Dirty or...
it's not called Tip of My Dick that I'm going to be very upset.
It's Tip of My, and it is. It's Tip of My Penis,
okay,
TOMP. And it's people being like, I saw this porn years ago of a girl who looked like this, and this is what was going on, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it fucking works. So yeah, because every man I know has said that.
Why? No, okay, I'm sorry. Why can't we use our human like brain power for something more productive? Like, I'm not even trying to get like conservative or whatever, but I'm like, if we took everyone that was working on that subreddit and was just like, yo, cure something.
But it's not a thing but it's not like these are people's day jobs. This is like, if I'm browsing that subreddit,
yeah, but why is that how they're spending their free
I'm
time?
saying,
Is my
like,
question. Get a hobby.
You see some random,
because
you see some strangers post like, "Yo, I saw this video where this dude was doing this to this many people." Find it, and then you, as the searcher, then have to be like, "Well," and search for who knows how long until you find the shit, and then it might not even work.
Mine goes to a separate place than Bo, which is, so when you're on Tip of My Tongue, like, you're describing things that it's like, it's a lot of the time like kids movies or computer games or like stuff that people have
Universal
forgotten,
experiences.
but it's a universal thing. When you're posting it on Tip of My Penis, there is statistically somebody who just knows that one porno so well that they know the name and exactly where to find it, and that scares me. That upsets me.
Maybe they have like Google alerts. They have Google alerts for the search terms or whatever, and there's any time it pops up.
My job is to help people find this video.
Well, see, I would say,
I know that like this is taking up a lot of my time. I had to quit my full-time job. If you could just like Venmo me like $3, this makes this whole thing worth it.
I think what it is sometimes they know. It could just be like somebody's like, "Hey, I saw a video once that's like blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Oh, I happen to know that one because I know the actress you're talking about that whose name you forgot."
No, so there was a thing from Kind of Funny a while ago where Nick Scarpino was naming porn stars, and I went like, anytime you do the nicknames or anytime it's like name this whatever, I'm like, I gotta get 100%. But with this one, I'm like, this is gonna be a test for like how deranged was I in my my surfing days back in the day. And I'm like, okay, I got like 3 out of 16, and then after a while I'm like, why don't I know all of these? Like I should be better versed. I don't like how many porn stars
names. Yeah, I don't like how many porn stars names I could.
Jordan knows a lot of porn stars names. It's mildly disturbing, and I'm saying
like,
it's disturbing.
With a Pokemon
Jordan,
rap.
Yeah, Jordan.
Do the Pokemon rap, but with all the porn stars, you know.
Do a poke rap of all the. Elsa Jean, Mia Khalifa.
Nope, we don't need to go through. Not right now.
This is the thing. This is what I mean. Is sometimes I will say like, "Hey, this thing about Jordan freaks me out." Whenever I say that, remember that we've been friends for a really long time. So if I'm like, it makes me mildly uncomfortable.
I'm just saying, it's not like those are the only things I know. I can list off a bunch of YouTubers I don't even watch.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
But YouTubers are in like pop culture news. Like, there are people I can name just because like they're in the news.
Mm-hmm. Like at this point, like Mr. Beast is kind of one of those, like, you need to know who he is because at some point he might buy some shit that affects your life. Like, you don't know.
Yeah. And like, it's just, and partly how the like, so I'm going to be honest, while you were having this conversation, what I was doing was sitting here thinking that it shocks me that there's not an app or a website for porn yet that works like a YouTube algorithm where it encourages you to rate videos so that it can then like recommend.
Okay,
like, you
here's
pick
the thing.
Words that like
I'm sure that has to be.
No. Okay,
that has to be.
We're about to find out that Jordan
think,
watches
right?
too much porn because I have an answer for this.
Oh god.
Pornhub wants you to do that. Nobody does. Listen, I
don't know
who the deranged
Rick and Morty bit about.
I don't know who the deranged people are that leave comments on porn videos. However, some of the comments on porn videos are really, really fucking funny because I've seen ones where somebody going like, "Hey, I'm playing Fallout 3. Where do I find this?" And people give him actual responses.
I was gonna say, I've seen the screenshots of the people that like post their fucking Fortnite videos, and like I don't know if there's like. I don't know if they like do shit like if you click on the video and it's actually something else, but like
okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
I do know that Pornhub does like without even making an account. If it just knows your cookies and like it knows like what to recommend you.
Your IP address. Just this IP likes butt stuff.
It kind of like it recommends you stuff and also goes like category. At one point, Pornhub was being like categories we think you'd like, and I learned a lot about myself.
Wait, I'm sorry. Going back to the whole the cookies and so what if you like you could learn so much about your friends and family if you like visit and then check that shit. Like now that you're giving me a lot of weird. Like I don't know how I would use this.
Listen, I've told
knowledge, but you could. I've
told all my friends, and Larry will test this. If I die young and unexpectedly, you are to destroy all my electronics. You are to shoot those hard drives with a gun and not look the other way.
Are you saving porn onto your hard drive?
No, but I don't. It's my. Okay, Leonard's gonna get annoyed at this.
I have a story about Jordan that will answer this question.
I am terrified.
Okay,
I was
let me
on
explain.
Jordan's phone once. No, shut up. I was on Jordan's phone once, and I don't remember what I was searching for, but it involved the word like bangs. And so I searched it, and the thing that popped up in the bar was Asian girl bangs something. And I assumed he meant haircuts. And so I was like, why are you looking up Asian girls with bangs like that to look at their hair? And he was like, no, that's not what it is. And rips the phone out of my hands, which is how I learned that he doesn't watch it on private on his iPhone.
Okay.
What?
Let me explain. The MacBook I own has been mine and only mine since 2014. This phone of mine has been mine and only mine since 2018.
That has seen every disgusting website Jordan has ever visited.
I'm ghetto. I have Cricket. Nobody's looking at that shit.
No, I mean,
but what I'm saying is,
on your parents' Wi-Fi. Yeah. So some poor man at Optimum, when writing up your parents' bill, has seen all the disgusting websites you have been on.
Okay, here's what's sad. I also have immigrant parents, so they're seeing just absolute filth and Google searches where half the words are spelled wrong. But anyway, listen, they are my devices. Mine and mine only. Back when I had a family computer, yeah, I taught my family to use Firefox, and I'd use Internet Explorer for the bad stuff, and I'd wipe it. I'm not a heathen, but these are mine. These are my devices. And if I want to be able to look at my... If I want to be able to go back into my own history to be like, where was I the other day? Like, I have the right to do that. Okay, I'm not doing it on private.
So I want to throw, okay, so, all right. So there's the thing that I keep going back to, I guess, is the concept of post-nut clarity. And I am trying to imagine how that affects you on a day-to-day basis, where if I use I have a work laptop, and then I have like my gaming PC that I'll also use for work sometimes, just depending on the situation. So like on my personal, like the computer I'm using now, I can type in whatever and it'll pop up my, my work company's website, like just work shit on here. If I was doing what you were doing and I'm sharing my screen to anyone and that pops up, like my life would end. And then also if I'm just by myself, Jordan, I'm not even in that mood. I'm typing in like popcorn or something, and then all of the shit that I was reminded of the horrible things that I've done however long ago. Like,
Bo, I have two responses to that.
I'm also squeamish. I feel like on the record, I feel like I'm squeamish.
I have two responses to that. One, my work computer and my personal computer never intersect uses, and that has to do with where I work. Like the computer is a very strict.
But
this is
I take
only
your
for work.
Phone. In this story that I told, you handed me the phone. I didn't even take it from you. You handed it to me and what I was about to Google.
What if you lose your phone? Some good Samaritan goes to whatever Apple store, they unlock it to try to figure out where you are, and then the first thing on that page is like Sodom and Gomorrah. Like it's
okay. I worked tech support for a few years. Sometimes you stumble upon people's search history. If it's just your average Joe Schmo stuff, you laugh and then you don't look at it again. Other thing is, you sometimes can't predict what words are going to trigger what websites to come up. Because right now, if I type in, like, I want to look up bangs, I haven't watched a video that uses that terminology. So you search bangs and you get absolutely nothing in terms of history. It's fine.
I want to just guess.
If I even take away the S, if I take away the S and I just put in bang, I get Bang energy drinks, as because I looked up something about them the other day. Not every.
Bo, what did you say? You wish what?
I just want to start guessing random words to see what triggers. Like. So
I'm gonna come in here because we've been roasting Jordan. I'm gonna come in here with what I think the female equivalent is because like also. I'm not going to speak.
There are females who watch porn.
There are.
Like, I know you
this
don't.
Is where I'm going. There are women. It's like you have women who watch porn, which is totally fine. You have women like me, where the idea of watching porn makes me want to shed my skin. Like it makes me the concept of porn makes me very uncomfortable. I don't know why. Sex work is real work. I think people
Catholic
who work
guilt.
in porn and people who work as prostitutes should have all sorts of it probably is Catholic guilt, but that they should have rights and all the protections and everything. It's not what they're doing. I just watching it makes me like like everything's just ugh. So for women, reading porn is like an equivalent.
Went through that phase too.
Interesting. I didn't know guys did that.
Listen, in middle school, I was casting a wide net, being like, wonder what's out there.
Because, and for older women, especially,
sorry, just those times in elementary school where you're supposed to like do the reading things and you like log how many books you wrote or you read. You just go to your teacher and you're just like, yeah, I read the entire 50 Shades trilogy.
This is where I'm going though, Bo. Is like we spoke of our fathers had to have like porn magazines, and I'm not joking. Like one day I would love to make a YouTube video like diving into like, because Rhett and Link talk about it a lot, how like a man gave them a cooler full of porn. And like
every
there
kid
was another
before the internet came across Playboy somehow.
And there was another guy they were friends with that he would clean a bowling alley like for money. Like he worked there and he would like clean up. He was like 16. And he found a pool table in the back that the owner had stuffed full of porn. And so they worked out a deal where he worked a shift every week that he didn't work on the books and didn't get paid for. And then he could take a certain amount of porno magazines from the pool table. And that brings up so many questions. But what women get is shitty historical romance novels and the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. And so there is a time that comes when a lot of girls my age learn that their grandmothers have nooks and all that's on them is softcore porn.
Yes,
like,
I helped.
That's on them is softcore porn.
I helped a woman when I worked at Geek Squad with her 2 Kindles trying to get them to sync. And Leon, I don't know what number it was. I don't know if you remember what I texted you, but when I say it was hundreds of books of just shirtless men in the covers, and one was based off a cowboy and one was based off a construction worker. And it's not like, and I'm not judging the old lady for this. I'm just saying I could tell by the covers, these were not like, oh, they're romantic in their substance. I could tell these are the girl, like this is the book equivalent of I don't have enough money for pizza type of erotica.
Yeah.
Like
it's not like Bridgerton where there's like a whole plot and story and like formula that goes into writing those romance. Cause like I read those cause they're shitty. They're quick reads. I can get really high and read them before bed and have like, and go to sleep. And then there are the ones that like I found once on a CD that somebody gave my grandmother and she gave to me because it was a CD of a bunch of like ebooks. My grandmother did not look at it beforehand. And while there were a bunch of ebooks I was interested in, there was also so much erotica, fairy tale erotica. And all it was just like, there was no plot. It was just straight to penetration.
Can we title this episode, Your Grandmother Comes Hard?
Jesus.
Oh god.
Well, go ahead. I mean, why not? That's the other thing. Me and my friend watched a comedian the other day, and the comedian was like, porn is the one thing where we've just accepted they will never become progressive in the way they word stuff. And the comedian said the joke of like, the story is never, fair-skinned girl makes love to African-American male is white bitch gets fucked by big black cock is always the title.
And like, this is why I also could never read erotica and why I've just realized porn is not for me, is every word that is used to describe sexual genitalia in writing makes me want to kill myself.
Yes, that's the one thing about writing I can't, like, porn is like a little bit more to the point where like, and Lear and me have talked about this, just like being friends that have little to no boundaries. What words make us comfortable and uncomfortable? Of like, all the dirty ones I'm fine with when they're used in the moment. But when you're reading, they don't want to keep using the word, so they have to come up with like these fucking images.
And
like,
they're not allowed to print dick. Like at the end of the day, they don't. It's that they don't want to because people get very offended by the word dick. So what happens in a lot of, and this is what decides on whether or not I'll read them. What happens in a lot of like Regency romance novels is if they use the word cock, you're in for a bad time, and I just won't read those.
Okay, see, they won't use.
Just turn the page and it's just the word.
Because like the ones.
There was one that I started the other day. Somebody had recommended this author to me. The first page that takes place from the point of view of the hero is him talking about somebody giving him a blowjob and like her lips around his cock. And I was like, I can't. We're done. No more.
The words to me that I'm always like, come on, is when they want to use like manhood or member or whatever. Like those.
Velvet Steel also makes me want to just like, I hate it. I hate it.
Velvet Steel is my favorite Prince album.
It always reminds me of that scene from 10 Things I Hate About You where Heath Ledger gets in trouble for like taping the bratwurst to his thigh, and then the guidance counselor just goes,
Allison Janney's writing her. Yeah.
She goes, bratwurst. Yeah. That's all it reminds me of. And then I found out some of the phrases they used in fucking 50 Shades of Grey, and that one can fuck right off because she refers to the character's butthole as a chocolate starfish.
Yes, she does.
And However, don't like
what
that.
I will give that woman, she is Mormon.
Yeah.
Which honestly brings up more questions than answers.
Same. Especially because when you remember, and I must remind everybody of this, that it was originally
started as Twilight fanfiction.
Gives me, I have so... I like that I'm going to put this down. I have so many questions about that.
I also love that I feel like if 50 Shades of Grey did not take off as much as it did, she would be famous for, remember that Mormon lady that made the Twilight fan fiction and there was that one movie and no one liked it? Like, if it wasn't a worldwide phenomenon or whatever, then...
Well, I feel like that's how After is. The one that started as the One Direction.
Oh, I've never heard of that, but like I feel like we would have more answers from her. Like we all have questions about how the fuck did this happen? Why did it take off? Are you still Mormon? What's going on? But like she doesn't have to answer those questions because she's like, fuck you, I don't need to. I have my money, fuck you.
The 50 Shades phenomena was also very funny to me because it was like you had these like middle-aged women being like, it's so steamy and it's so hot. I'm like, listen, you're still going to the fucking Galleria watching a rated R movie. It cannot be that. Like,
this is where you have to come to that with these women, they didn't have the access to porn that we did. A lot of older women, this was their introduction to BDSM because like porn was not as accessible to women.
I'm saying it's kind of funny. It's also very possible that I'm the one here that needs to be like locked up or fucking put in a chastity belt because I'm like, that's a normal thumbnail for me. Like nothing here.
God. But like thinking about sexual acts in terms of thumbnails is probably indicative.
I'm just saying nothing that you see in the 50 Shades movie can legitimately be described as like steamy or hot in terms of like what you're actually looking
at. Yeah, because they're making a movie. Dakota Johnson needs to have a career after this. It's not like, hey, remember that one movie where this...
I'm just saying, I feel like they had they had the chance to blend the line between porn and cinema.
No, but that's the thing is that if they wanted to get a
NC-17?
No, a theatrical release, period. You can't show dick or vag. Like, you cannot show, you're allowed to show, for a rated R, you're allowed to show nips of both genders, and you're allowed to see penis. And that is, you are never allowed to see just full-on vagina.
Jordan is about to run for office purely on the... change the rank system!
Take over the MPAA.
Here's the thing. Hypothetically, that kind of lines up with all my other political views of just like, can we be like 20% more like Europe?
I'm not saying you would fail. Like, you would have a following.
Yeah.
You would have a sizable following. You would have to go to debates. Like, people would have to debate you on this stuff.
Show vag on screen again.
Like, it's great. Yeah, it's just like you're not allowed to show it. It's also partly it's hard to show because of the rules from the Actors Union. It's hard to show vag because it's got a sticker over it. And then the guy's dick is in the bag with his ball sack taped to his legs. So, like, it's hard. It's also hard to do that and follow the rules to keep your actors from feeling like they've been sexually harassed.
Yeah,
So,
for the record, I'm not saying 50 Shades of Grey should have been literally fucking porn. I'm just saying.
Maybe we're asking the wrong question. Like, maybe we're looking at the film industry to become more porn-like is not going to happen.
We got to go reverse.
Exactly. Go look at...
Okay, here's the thing.
Get the Russo brothers to direct some 6-movie-long epic. And, like, it's... Like, yeah, there's butts and stuff in there, but, like, that's not what it's about. Like, I don't know.
Like in 300, where you just see booty the entire time.
Yeah, like I remember we had to watch 300 in like 4th grade for football because a grown man told a bunch of 10-year-old boys like, go watch 300 and you'll learn how to be men. We're like, okay. We watched 300. My parents were totally fine with it until Lena Headey, right? Mm-hmm. Lena Headey,
big old
boobies
titties
for a second, and they were like, "Oh no, fast forward through this. Oh, a man getting decapitated. That's okay. Yes, go learn how to do this on the football field."
Okay, again, I'm not even making a joke here. I literally wrote a paper in college about how America is so much more comfortable with violence on screen, and Europe is only more comfortable with nudity on screen. And I, circling this back to the very beginning, I was just in a fucking mood in college. I was like, half my papers in college were like, I want to see if I could get away with this. I started the paper with the lyrics to the Family Guy theme.
Oh my God, I forgot you did this. I blocked this out of my mind.
Gotta
Jordan calls me crying, laughing. It was like, I just did the funniest thing. It tells me this. I was like, okay, cool.
I still gotta be. Like, I'm impressed with myself, personally.
I am also impressed with you.
Hey, you gotta be.
The other members of Shared Screens are gonna listen to this podcast and be like, guys, what the fuck?
Yeah, like we need to make sure that we have supervision on these 3. We can't do it. Even in the background.
Listen, there is no shame in masturbation or in porn.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching the Shared Screens podcast. Everybody's Twitters and social media will be in the description down below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, wash your hands, and then you will see you next time. Bye.
Sure hands. Bo, you have to end the recording. We can't.
God damn it. What's happening?